Hello, and welcome to the Underpaid Gamers Podcast. My name is Tony. I am with my friend and colleague, Justin.
I am Justin.
This is Justin. At our podcast, we normally talk about movies, video games, comics, video games.
Nerd culture!
Video games. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about Daredevil Season 2.
Yep.
I have some news on the next PS4 upgrade.
Yes.
I have news on some Call of Duty stuff, and some more Marvel stuff.
And
awesome
I am going to talk about Fallout 4's first DLC drop, Automatron, and my experience with that so far.
Automatron?
Automatron.
Or automation?
Automatron.
Oh, so like
a matron.
A woman?
A matron of auto.
Auto parts?
Automatron.
So you can make your own woman?
Yes.
Technically?
It is glorious.
She is glorious?
She is beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have a theme song. Coming at you!
And we're back! Man, that theme song is so good. I wonder who made that.
So good.
I wonder who made it.
I don't know. Someone that knows how to make theme songs. At least they do now.
Yep, that's true. It's a skill that some people might develop.
Okay, listen.
I'm listening.
We have, normally for this podcast, we use my deck chairs.
The deck chairs.
That are outside.
Mm-hmm.
But today we have to use my desk chairs, the swivel ones, because it rained and my deck chairs got wet.
Mother Nature!
Now we are in these chairs and they squeak. So if there's any squeakies, I apologize. That we don't have any mice, no squirrels, no squeaky McSqueakers.
Right.
As Kronk says in Emperor's New Groove.
Squeakers, squeaking, squeakers.
Squeakers.
Squeaker.
Right?
Yep.
Anyway.
None of that.
So, we're using this now.
So, Tony, what's in the news?
PS4K, as people are calling it. What? It's the next upgrade for the PS4. Instead of going all the way up to 1080p, it's going up to 4000K. Well, 4000p.
4K.
Not 4000K.
4K?
4K? 4K.
4K.
So, the only way you can even use that is if you have a 4K TV, which have been out for a couple years.
Yeah, but not very prevalent, I would say.
You have to get a new TV to use this new PS4 to the maximum specs.
Yeah. Which I'm not going to do.
I'm not going to buy a new PS4. I don't even have a... I don't think they even have monitors that are... I'm sure they have monitors that are 4K.
They probably are. I'm sure there are. Regardless...
I use a monitor on my PS4.
This is interesting, though, because it's just like a hardware upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's alright. I'm really just ready for the next update.
The next update?
Where you can appear offline and...
Oh my gosh, the customization. Yeah. So many Netflix shows will not be interrupted by people inviting me to their party!
Yep.
I'm excited for
I'm not guilty of that.
Uh-huh.
So,
what's next?
It looks like Microsoft is taking the GameStop route and allowing people to trade in their used games.
Yeah.
Their used digital games.
What?
You can buy a game online, digitally, download it, then I guess you can, once you're done with it, you can trade it in and get credit towards another game.
What?
Which is very interesting.
How?
I don't know how it works.
I'm so confused.
But it's kind of a cool idea.
It is a cool idea. I'm just wondering, I'm just like trying now to think about all the different ways that Microsoft is about to get ripped off by people like copying their hard drive and then selling the game and then playing it. That's interesting. I'm sure they'll figure out something.
I don't know how to do any of that, so it doesn't affect me.
True.
It's kind of a cool idea. It's kind of like F you GameStop, because one, I think people are leaning to more just digital downloads in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can do that all from home. Yeah. I don't have to go to GameStop, which I hate.
I do like the physical copy, though, because I like to stare at it on my shelf.
Listen.
And also for the trade-in
I'm a big component of the new game smell, as I've talked about before.
Yes.
You crack open a game.
Get a big old sniff of that.
Sniff of that plastic.
That's some good stuff.
Good.
Classic.
Only games smell like that.
Only.
Books have a new...
they don't smell like plastic.
And then books have an old book smell.
True.
Games only have a new game smell. But that's always the first thing I do when I crack open a new game is smell it.
Smell it.
I have a strong schnoz.
There it is. So, digital trade-ins.
Digital trade-ins. Interesting idea. We'll see where it goes. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. At first, it was getting good reviews.
Yeah.
Now it's getting horrible reviews.
Ooh.
What was it? Rotten Tomatoes said it was like a 43%.
Yeah, 40-something.
Polygon said it was boring and tedious. People have been calling it the yawn of justice.
I did see that. I saw a couple negative tweets about it during the day. Yawn of justice was one of the ones I saw.
Literally before we started this podcast, I was on Twitter and Games Radar posted, quote, Zack Snyder
Oh my
explains
gosh.
why Batman breaks his biggest rule in Batman v Superman.
And we haven't even
Spoilers.
seen it yet.
I'm like, what's Batman's biggest rule, Justin?
And I said, biggest rule, you must beat them and break them and leave them in the street.
Right.
But not dead.
But not dead. Batman's biggest rule could be argued to not kill people.
Right.
We would like to argue that it's to leave them broken and beaten in the snow.
Right.
So we think he's actually going to take somebody to the hospital.
Yes, or he might just sternly talk to them instead of beating them up.
Right? He might just sit them down.
Hey,
like,
look,
listen,
we need to talk about your life,
let's
talk about your choices, and we need to fix it.
Hold on, I might sneeze.
Uh-oh. Here it comes. Here it comes. 1, 2.
It's gone.
Oh, okay. It's gone.
That's
That's a lot of build-up for that, though.
He'll be back.
We'll see what happens.
There was a Luke Cage teaser trailer. Did you see that?
I did.
We tried to just watch it, but it was taken down.
It was taken down, and luckily, it was one of the ones that I actually saw before Tony showed it to me.
Is it the one that you saw where he's like in the boxing area?
That's
Which
what
I assume is Matt Murdock's boxing area.
That's what it looked like.
And he's getting shot.
Yeah, he's like, "You must not know much about me," and he's
Something
like
that.
I'm trying to buy new clothes.
The one I saw was not in English.
Really?
So I didn't hear any of that. I just saw him getting shot at, and then I think he beat somebody up. It was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's real short. It has like a one-liner in there. He says, I'm tired of buying new clothes because he gets shot up, and then it's like some like hip-hop music going on. It's like more upbeat of a show, sounds like already. Like the feeling it gave was like intense, up close, kind of like in your face. Let's do this thing.
You think it won't be as dark as Jessica Jones or?
The vibe that I got was that it's going to be more action and less like dark plots.
I don't know a lot about Luke Cage / Power Man. Same person.
Yeah, I don't know either. But the trailer made me excited for it. I added it to my list on Netflix because you can already.
It comes out September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to mention. Daisy Ridley, also known as
Rey
Kenobi.
Ray. These are your first steps.
Might be the new Tomb Raider. This might be the new Lara Croft.
I saw some Photoshop pictures of her today.
Yes.
Onto Lara Croft's body. That was pretty awkward.
Okay.
Some like weird. I saw some movie posters where fans are already putting her face on like movie posters for
old
Tomb
movie
Raider.
posters or new movie posters?
Like essentially putting her face on old ones.
Oh yeah.
But like trying to make it look so it was actually her.
I don't think she has the body of Angelina Jolie, but I didn't pay attention. I've only seen her literally once.
I would be excited.
In that one movie.
I like Daisy Ridley a lot.
Yeah, she's cool.
But I like her in Star Wars. I've actually not. I mean, I haven't seen her in anything else, so I really don't know.
And related to that, another George Lucas arts film, Indiana Jones 5 releases in 2019.
Man.
However, Harrison Ford is going to be in this. He's confirmed to be in it. But obviously, he can't do much of the stuff that he used to be able to do. Who do you think is going to be the new Indy?
I hope they pick the same actor who plays the new Han Solo.
if they're going to be the same person.
Probably not. I doubt it. If they did, though, that would be nuts. That would just be Harrison Ford 2.0 then for the rest of his career.
That's not bad.
They'd do like a redo of The Fugitive and a redo of Clear and Present Danger and Jack Ryan and like all that. I don't know.
That's not bad. That's not a bad person to be second of.
It would not be a bad person to be like the protege of.
Yeah.
Also not a bunch of bad movies to redo because they're like some good movies,
right.
Some franchises that are great.
That's right.
So I don't know. That'd be interesting. I feel like they set up Shia LaBeouf to be somebody in Crystal Skull, but Shia LaBeouf is like stalking you in the woods.
Shia LaBeouf just got engaged to like a 13-year-old.
That's
weird.
What
I saw on like Twitter. No, on Facebook. No, Facebook has that news feed. It's like there's 3 things happening around the world, and most of the time it's like I don't care.
Right.
Like one of them was like, one of the Kardashians says she loves her boyfriend. I'm like,
wow,
what?
That's news?
Why are you telling me this?
Nobody cares.
I don't think it's personalized because I don't pay attention to Kardashians. I hope it's not personalized. I hope that's not what Facebook thinks of me.
I mean, unless you're hiding something from me.
I spend a lot less time on Facebook.
Are you a Kardashian fan?
Literally every other post is just like a meme or a link to something.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up. People.
Yeah, I hate that news thing.
Friends.
Bah, who needs friends?
Friends.
Facebook friends. It's all just Facebook acquaintances.
Video game news. Again.
Ooh.
Fallout. Black. Call of Duty.
You're struggling. Do I just take a second? Want me to read this one?
No, you don't know anything about it.
Okay, you're right. On this one, I don't.
So Black Ops 3 has finally put the last nail in the coffin. They have added more weapons to the supply drops. There is another melee weapon, which I assume is just visual, but there's also like a new sniper rifle, and maybe a new shotgun, maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
But I have not played Black Ops 3 since the last update where they put weapons in it. I don't think they've increased the number of crypto keys you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a way to buy these new weapons. I literally think it's just crypto keys. I think it's just supply drops.
Interesting.
So, Black Ops 3 was supposed to be the savior of the Call of Duty.
And it started really strong.
It started off really strong. And now, when they first released it, when the game first came out, they went on record and said, we're not going to put new weapons in supply drops. It's only going to be visual aspects.
Wow.
And now they have gone back on that.
Well, that sucks.
So that's rough.
I mean, I haven't picked up Black Ops 3 in like 2 months.
Yeah, I haven't played it in a long time.
When it first came out, Tony and I and our group of friends bought it, and we played it pretty heavily for like 2 weeks, I would say.
I still like the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
I still like the game. It's just this stuff is frustrating. And then to go along with that, maybe Call of Duty is finally ending as a franchise. They have announced Call of Duty Ghost 2 from Infinity Ward.
So that's happening.
Ghost 1 was probably one of the worst Call of Duties ever made. This was, okay, so Black Ops 3 is the most recent. The one before that was Advanced Warfare. Mm-hmm. The one before that was Ghosts, made by Infinity Ward. Ghost was the one with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. I read online what they plan on doing with COD Ghosts 2. And they're like, we're giving a graphical update. First of all, Ghosts looked bad to begin with. It was the first one where you could like customize your character, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
But they're like, we're giving a graphical update, and we're like, that's not the problem that Ghost had. Ghost had so many other problems. Specifically multiplayer, there was 2 kill streaks that were like AI people that would go along with you.
Right.
One of them was in like the support column, so no matter how many times you died, you always got that.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was this stupid dog that could like run halfway across the map and kill you in one shot.
Mm-hmm. You couldn't really do anything about it.
And then there is
sneaky dogs.
There's a lot of things that have problems with it. I don't really want to go into detail, but there are IEDs. They're essentially pieces of trash you lay on the ground, and then you walk over them, they explode in a 360-degree radius, so you can't get away from them.
Yeah, you're dead if you get hit by one. So that's pretty interesting. I thought they would make another Ghosts, but I guess
I thought they wouldn't.
Each their own. The only redeeming factor of Ghost for me was I enjoyed the campaign. I like the space, the giant rods falling from orbit.
Those are cool weapons.
I thought that was kind of cool.
I only got to the level. I played the campaign, and
you did
went to the level where you play as a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat that level, and I'm like, I'm never going back.
Yeah, I mean that's the only dog level if I remember right. But I did enjoy the storyline, but I feel like so much of the gameplay comes from multiplayer. I mean, I guess so much of the value of a Call of Duty game comes from multiplayer. You only play the campaign for like less than 10 hours, maybe 8, unless you're doing it multiple times for like trophies or something. Mm-hmm. So I would hope that the multiplayer would be on point, considering that that's really the main draw of a Call of Duty game. So
no luck, I assume.
Ghosts 2. Well, maybe we'll be tentatively cautious about it.
I think I pre-ordered Black Ops 3. I won't pre-order Ghosts 2.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if reviews are good. Maybe we'll change our mind, grab it. But
what if this is the thing that gets me back to playing Destiny 2?
Stop it! Wait a second. Does that mean it's time
to go to our
favorite segment
of
every episode? This organically started happening. We didn't even talk about it. Now it just happens every time.
Let them know. What are we doing?
This is our segment of the show, where we check to see where Destiny is ranking on Twitch.
On Twitch right now.
Twitch rankings of Destiny. So my guess is going to be 35 is my guess.
35?
That's my guess.
Hold on.
Last week, I believe it was 32.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 18, 24,
Here we go.
25, 26, 27, 28, 29.
I was off a little bit. A little higher
Destiny
than I
is the 29th watched thing on Twitch as of right now. 6 o'clock p.m., so all the kids are home from school.
Yeah, they're playing.
They're playing or watching.
So for those of you who may listen and be like, well, Justin, you guys are always so positive on your show. How can you be so negative about Destiny? Well, we played Destiny for hundreds of hours.
Listen, we could do a whole episode, and we might do a whole episode on why we don't like Destiny. So we're going to leave that on the table.
But there are good reasons why we don't like it.
Dark Souls 3 came out, looks like.
It did. Dark Souls 3 did drop, and I haven't bought it yet, but I will.
Someone's playing GTA 5.
That's right.
Because there's 22,000 viewers on one person.
There it is.
And I've never seen him before. Her? Him? Who knows?
But either way, back to the news. Thank you for listening to our favorite segment, Where's Destiny?
What is our Destiny?
I don't know what.
Wait, I have one more.
Uh-oh.
Sony announced today the Forward Works Corporation, which is an idea to build iOS and Android versions of PlayStation titles. This is currently, quote, to provide gaming application optimized for smart devices, including smartphones, to users in Japan and Asia. So it's very location locked right now, but it might come to the West. I assume this means you can play PlayStation titles on your phone.
That would be nuts.
That'd be fun.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be fun.
It could be quite fun.
Yeah, so if Call of Duty is awful, as we could assume it is because it's Ghost 2, Destiny 2 is coming out in September. Ghost 2 probably comes out in November.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny 2 might get me back into it.
We'll see.
Because I need a first-person shooter.
I mean, for me to get back into Destiny, there needs to be a compelling story.
Yeah.
Because there was no story.
Yeah. There was a story. You just had to go to the Grimoire cards.
And I did, and I still wasn't enough. Wasn't engaging.
I heard everyone said those are really good, but I had never had the time to look through them all.
No, I mean I read them. It was good language, and it had good stuff to them. It's just I don't want to play a game and then have to read the entire story unless it's Bloodborne, which is the exception to that. As I say it.
I don't think I want something that grindy.
Yeah.
That tedious.
There was a lot of grinding involved.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm open to another Destiny. I'm just so burnt out of the other one. Who knows what'll happen.
So you have news about your
Fallout?
Your matron?
My matron? Yes, my auto parts matron. Fallout 4 is a game that I've spent quite a few hours on.
True.
Platinumed it, 100%ed all the trophies. Still more stuff to do in the game when I stopped playing, but after going through the storyline, 3 different endings, and getting all the bobbleheads and everything.
How different are the endings? Vastly different?
It depends. 2 of them are close, and 1 of them is totally different.
Oh, yeah.
And by totally different, I mean the world is still the same no matter who wins.
Yeah.
But certain aspects of the map are different, and I mean what is said between people and on the radio is different. So there's a pretty significant event that happens that I don't know if you want to know or not.
Someone throws a ring into
the lava
of Mordor,
and Gollum.
Doom?
Yes.
Oh.
Everyone dies. All of Boston blows up in a giant.
All of Middle Earth.
All of Middle Earth.
Which is
also
Boston. By the ring wraiths.
Yes. And by
Frodo
super
goes
mutants.
back and he's like, "Oh no!"
What if?
Then there's an hour of extended cut endings to Return of the King. I haven't watched any of them because I always fall asleep because it takes so long.
It does.
I've literally never seen the end of that movie.
The Return of the King, the book. Seriously, the second. Well, first off, the last third of the book itself is the appendices.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2/3 left. The other third, the middle third there, that's all about Frodo and Sam and the hobbits going back to the Shire and fighting freaking, who is it? Isengard guy. Saruman and his little dude who went back to the Shire and is enslaving all the people.
Wait, is that good or bad?
All the Hobbitans. He's bad.
Is that good or bad? In the book, is that good or bad?
Is it good that it happens?
No, the part of the book.
The part of the book.
Is that good or bad part of the book?
I don't like it.
Okay.
Because
so it's bad.
Because at that point, the main storyline is pretty much over.
Listen,
the point of that section is to show how much they grew.
First of all, Return of the King. Cut you off.
You did cut me off,
but I'm excited. Return of the King has the most awards given to any movie of all time.
I love the Lord of the
over.
Return of the King was good.
Also, whenever I almost cry every single time when Aragorn's giving a speech on Minas Tirith, he's like, "You, my friend's about to know one." I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
I'm
gonna cry."
And then everybody else bows to them, and then they're finally the same height. I know. Oh man,
I got chills just thinking about it. That's such a good scene.
Sons of Gondor of Rohan, my brothers. I have the whole speech memorized.
I know.
I could do it. Just take my word for it, listeners. You don't want to hear it all.
Correct.
So either way, they go back there and fight Saruman, and the whole point is just to show how much the hobbits have grown. Why does that even matter? What does this have to do with Fallout Automatron, the DLC?
How do we get to that?
I'm not sure. So, Automatron came out, and essentially it's a bunch of missions.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It's like a path. It's a story arc, where you hear this random beacon on the radio looping about needing help from an attack on them. And you go there, and I will say my first attempt at that part, which is just the intro mission to the story arc, as in the first day it dropped, I started getting a migraine. which I usually don't get migraines, and it's my second one in 2 weeks. And my entire life, I don't even get headaches. So I was really worried. I couldn't read.
Wait,
I got really disoriented.
Is it a migraine or a headache? You've never had a headache before.
It was. I mean, I've had headaches, but it was a migraine. I couldn't read words. I was like looking at the screen, and part of my vision was out. Oh. And then I took some Tylenol, and then I laid down, and then it just like hit my head, and then I went to bed at 5:30 that day, and then woke up at 6 the next morning. So I watched. I actually took recorded myself playing that first mission as as I was being like attacked by this confusion bomb on my head.
Oh yeah.
And in the replay, I was like attacking all the NPCs. Oh. I was attacking people.
You watched it?
Innocents. Yeah, I watched people, and I was like, I was so disoriented. I couldn't read anything. I couldn't see what was going on. Did you restart it? Yeah, I restarted it. That's so I played through the first 3 missions. So far, it's been pretty good. I mean, it brings up some questions about robots and intelligence, and are they actually people or not? Some of that, which is kind of already partly the theme of Fallout with all the synths and things, but this is kind of a different approach to it. Because since it was like robots who are being made intentionally to be like humans, and this is just like robots. Developing them. Yeah. Your face right now is so intense. I don't know what to do.
I was listening.
Yeah, I mean, now it's just robots advancing them into their own intelligence.
Disguise.
And there's like robo-brains with like eyeballs. There's like an eyeball on the front of the brain that's at the top of the robot. And oh my gosh, this one mission, I just played it last night. So good.
So good.
There's this cult called like the Rust something. It's like this raider group. And they capture robots and like break them down to make new fighting robots with to go attack places.
Yes.
They capture this robot brain. You got to go capture it. And first off, the area where they are is like super well decorated to be kind of scary, but like robot scary. It's kind of weird.
What does that mean?
It's like it's just a different feel from a lot of the other raider places that you go to.
Okay.
It feels very unique. And you go to this place and you see this like supercomputer and there's this brain sitting on top of it and you're like, oh, hey, what's up?
Oh, hey, what's up, brain?
And the brain's like, get me out of here, I need help, blah, blah, blah. And so behind them you see at the top of this like altar, essentially, this giant robot thing. Mm-hmm. And the cursor just says Ahab. Okay. And then the robot's brain, his name is Jezebel, so Ahab and Jezebel.
What does that mean?
That's a Bible reference. Really? To like a king.
See, when I think of Ahab, I think of Captain Ahab.
Right. No. It's Ahab and Jezebel as the biblical story. And so you try and rescue the girl, and there's this giant century, like, huge robot thing, and I was like, dude, that thing looks so scary on top of this altar. But it wasn't moving at all. And it was kind of, I wasn't actually sure if it was, like, part of the scenery, or if it was, like, an enemy.
Yes.
Because, like, I was walking around and nothing happened. So I talked to the robot brain, and we cut a deal. And I'm about to grab it off the shelf, essentially, the little shelf it was on. Mm-hmm. But I was like, no, I want to go check out the Ahab thing. So I walk up to it.
Ahab is the sentry bot?
Yeah, it's this huge thing on this altar. Okay. Yeah. And I click X on it. Yeah. Mistake.
Oh, you activated
Mistake. I activated the thing. And it is this huge, biggest robot I've seen, scariest thing. It's got like heat sinks coming off every single angle, and it's just like, woo! And it's super scary, and I'm like, ah! Ah! And I run away, and it starts attacking my little follower dude. Oh. And then I remember I brought mini nukes with me. And so I grabbed out my Fat Man, which I almost left back home so I could get more salvage. Shot it twice, killed it. And I was like, man, I'm so glad I got that, because I definitely did not have the right equipment to take that full thing down with anything else. So I was it was like super scary, but took that out. It was so cool. I just loved the art, the artisticness of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the enemies there use like robot parts for armor, and so there's like some new armor classes. Like I got kind of tired of the same armor that looked the same all the time. Mm-hmm. Like there's like 3 or 4 different types, and then it just had different stats. Mm-hmm. So now I added some new ones, which is cool. And I got a really cool gun. It's called the Tesla gun. And it arcs to a bunch of different enemies. Ooh. It's super cool. So far I've been enjoying it. I'm not super far. Again, 3 missions in. Been recording myself play it.
That's good.
For posterity. For my grandchildren when they think, oh, what did they used to play back in the day?
What did they used to play?
Fallout 4. So,
it's so weird because I'm playing Fallout 27 right now.
So far, Fallout 4, giving it a incomplete because I haven't beat it yet.
What a teacher.
So far, it's good.
So far, it's good.
So far, so good.
You want to talk about Daredevil? Season 2?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Let us talk about it.
Spoilers, because I'm not going to...
Spoiler alert.
I'm going to try to...
Spoiler alert.
Not spoil it.
Spoiler
alert. We're going right into it.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. I have a list of things. The list is in order that they came to my mind. We can either do that, or I can go through and pick and choose, or we can talk about things. But the first thing I want to talk about is Foggy.
Foggy Nelson.
Foggy Nelson.
I love Foggy Nelson.
I did not like him in the first season. You did.
I did like him in the first season.
He was super annoying. This season,
I thought he was super fun.
I thought he was super legit.
And I agree.
He is an awesome lawyer.
He is.
When he doesn't have to rely on Matt all the time.
Well,
when he does like his own thing.
The season forced him to, like, Matt, his absence in so much of the story.
Of his story.
Of his Foggy story specifically, forces him to take the mantle of responsibility, which may be the first time it's the first time we've seen him do that in the show. Yeah. So I've really been enjoying it.
But he's really good still.
Yeah. He's like shooting from the hip, and
I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the trial in it was a lot of fun. I would like to see more of that.
For sure. Some pretty interesting developments with his story, I would say, overall.
Tell me about it, because...
Do you remember the very end?
No.
Okay. Have you seen it all?
Yeah.
Okay. So the very end, he's...
First of all, let's tell them about how... Today is Thursday. It came out last Friday. And then we had a plan to watch it. We had a plan to record on Monday. Yeah. That was the original plan. So we had to watch...
All of it by Monday.
All of it by Monday.
Which we did.
Which means I had to watch 4.5 hours Monday before you would have came over. Yeah. And you did come over. We didn't record it, though. So I, binge watched it, Sunday and Monday. Nice. So there's probably a little bit of a blur. Yeah. So what happened with Foggy.
And for me, the beginning was a blur for me. Because I watched it on, Friday night when I got home from work.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think, for some reason, I was, distracted when it was happening. Mm-hmm. And so, Richie came over, that's why. And so, we both watched it together, but we were also talking sometimes, so I missed some stuff in the beginning. But, either way, very end, Foggy Nelson, he grew as a lawyer.
He also got a haircut.
He also did get a haircut.
You notice his haircut?
Yeah.
He had, 4 inches cut off. Yeah, First of all, when the season started, the season goes over, at least 6 months. Yeah. Because it starts in, August, because they're having Record Heat and Hell's Kitchen, and it ends at Christmas. Yeah. And Foggy's hair is, down to his shoulders. I'm like... He has to be burning up. They're having Record Heat. Yeah. And then he gets a cut in, December. What's wrong with you? Get it cut in the summer.
He's got the wrong timing down. Right? Yeah. But he grows. At the very end, it's a Jessica Jones crossover.
Yeah, with that Hogarth.
Yeah. The
lesbian lady lawyer.
Yeah. Lots of L's on that one. Yeah.
Lady lesbian law.
If you've seen Jessica Jones, which we've reviewed before, one of the main characters...
Does she die? Does Hogarth die in Jessica Jones?
No, she doesn't. No.
I don't know how that ends.
No, she's one of the main... I guess one of the side characters in Jessica Jones. Kind of a lawyer, kind of like a corporate person who gives Jessica jobs, corporate espionage jobs and random things. She contacts Foggy, who is now broken up with Murdoch. Yeah. Murdoch and Nelson are broken up.
Nelson don't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. But she offers him a job. And I'm like, oh my gosh, does that mean the next season of Jessica Jones has Foggy Nelson in it? Because I would love that.
I'm pretty sure they're not going to have a season 2 of Jessica Jones until after The Defenders.
Really?
Yeah. Which will be if Luke Cage comes out in September, I assume Iron Fist will come out
in the
spring. Yeah. And then maybe Jessica Jones and then Defenders, but I don't know. Yeah. It won't be for another year or two.
Sad day. I love Foggy Nelson. He's cool. So much fun.
I don't know why you liked him in the beginning.
Because he's fun and he's warm.
Yeah, but he's so
he's the best friend. He's Samwise Gamgee.
Super childish. In this one, I thought he was a lot better. I liked him a lot more. What I really liked about him was even though he was like madly in love with Karen in like the first season.
Yes.
Like Karen and Matt started dating, and Foggy's just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he's like if that's what you guys want to do,
cool, Foggy. Like I respect that.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be tearing him up inside, but it didn't show that in the series. So
he was being a bro.
I was reading a whole bunch of stuff. The guy that makes Daredevil's costume, Melvin, is also the villain, the Gladiator, I believe is what his name is.
I saw that poster on his wall.
Yeah. So he has a lot of that stuff. And then I read up on the Gladiator, which I think is his name. And there was a time where Foggy Nelson, dressed up as Daredevil, went to Melvin.
Yeah.
Because I guess people knew that Melvin made Daredevil's costume.
Yeah.
Went to Melvin. He's like, I need you to make me a Daredevil. Well, he didn't dress up as Daredevil. He went and said, I am Daredevil. I need you to make me an outfit so I can impress Karen, the love of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what?
That's crazy.
Look at them being in love. But that obviously didn't happen.
No, but him being Gladiator, I remember in one of the scenes on his wall, he has a poster of 2 gladiators fighting.
He has the Gladiator emblem in season 1. He has some other Gladiator stuff in season 2.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like
cool.
The Gladiator is known for like having razor blades on like his arms, and he always like in season 1 he throws a razor blade.
Yeah.
And in season 2 he picks one up, and he's like gonna fight with it.
But nice.
I really like him as a character. Like I hope they don't make him the Gladiator.
He's a good support character.
Because he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, he's just caring about him and his girl.
Yeah.
Right? All the time. That's always what he talks about.
And he's like, he's not violent. I mean, he fights him, but he's not like violent. He's just trying to protect.
Yeah.
A little slow.
Maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Seems so.
Yeah.
So Foggy Nelson.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like Foggy. Season 2.
The very last episode. Okay, no. Before we get there, there's one episode where Matt goes and talks to Kingpin in the prison.
Oh my gosh. Favorite scene.
He goes as Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
And the Kingpin and him talk. And then Matt Murdock gets real frisky. He's like, I know this and this and this.
Yeah.
And Kingpin punches him in the face like 1,000 times.
Dude, that was my favorite scene of the entire show.
Why?
Because of the intensity. I was scared.
Were you?
Yeah, it like really drew me in.
Why did it scare you? Because you thought Matt Murdock was going to die?
Well,
or because you thought his secret would get
No,
out?
I was.
When it's happening, he is not. He's not fighting back. He uppercuts him once, but you'd expect that from like a boxer's kid,
right?
Like he can't be Daredevil in that scene,
right?
Is that why
he doesn't try to? No, what's scary is they just went off of this blind guy, right? Like we're assuming he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Though he might. Mm-hmm. I doubt it, but he might. No, but it was just like the pure ferocity of it, like
all the guards around,
right? And it just shows how much in control he is, and he's fairly absent in the show. I mean, there's a few times he pops up, especially towards the end, he starts popping up. But up to this point, like you kind of forget about him until he gets his first scene.
I love the Kingpin cameos.
I love that Matt went and saw him, and just how that conversation went down. I was like, oh, dude, Matt's got him. He's like backing him into a corner with all this speak, and then all of a sudden, pure rage out of Kingpin smashes him down, and the fact that he like fought Punisher earlier, right? In the yeah,
they had a fight,
and like Kingpin won. At least that's what it seemed like to me. He like got him down. He was like doing his whole like double fist smackdown.
Yeah, they like quit fighting, but Punisher's arms were handcuffed. And I assume his legs were handcuffed.
Right.
So he might have won that fight, but definitely wasn't a fair fight.
True, but they're bad guys, so well, Punisher's not really bad, like an anti-hero. But either way, no, Kingpin, that scene just like my jaw dropped, and I was totally surrounded by the scene in my mind. Like I could not look away. It was so intense. I enjoyed that scene a lot. I mean, there are other good scenes too, but that scene I remember that was the one that stuck out so much to me.
I can't remember where I was going with that. Let me see what Oh yeah, so Matt Murdock had to pretend to be blind. Well, he is technically blind, but he had to pretend not be Daredevil in that scene. Mm-hmm. So he goes to great lengths to pretend to be blind. Right?
Yeah.
So in the very last episode, Stick and Matt are both blind. They both have to pretend to be blind.
Yeah.
They're in the graveyard after they bury Elektra. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, what if they were walking out to the car, they're pretending to be blind, this fell into an open grave. This fell head first into it.
I'm sure they would be fine.
Right, but that would be hilarious.
That would be bad.
That'd be so funny. Also, you want to talk about the Punisher and Daredevil have a conversation about halfway through where Punisher obviously kills people to get his way. Not to get his way, but to end them. Whereas Daredevil is more about justice and wants him to be prosecuted and like
through the legal system. Yeah.
And there's a turning point where Daredevil's like, let's team up. I'll even let you kill somebody. Maybe your way is the best way.
Yeah.
And Daredevil's like, once you go this route, you can't go back. Like, it's not a line you can jump back and cross from. You can't go this way, then go this way. It's once you go there, there's no going back. Right? So that's a big turning point. At least one of the episodes. And I was thinking this while it happened. On the very final scene when Daredevil and Nobu are fighting on top of the building with all with Elektra's there after she died, I think.
And she's like bleeding out.
Daredevil, Punisher's there and he shoots ninjas off of him. Right. He has a sniper rifle. Mm-hmm. Daredevil throws Nobu off the building. Right. I'm like, he's definitely dead.
I mean, they knew at that point that he could regenerate.
Yeah, but essentially, he's still, even if he can regenerate, you're still killing him, right? So I was thinking, he didn't die.
He's immortal, though. So
he didn't die.
Right.
He's not immortal. He just gets, I think there's a difference between being immortal and being revived. Because later, Stick cuts his head off, and he's not coming back.
Well, I mean, he wasn't revived, he regenerated, because he regenerates. But apparently you can kill him.
I don't know.
You can end him.
How do you? I don't think he regenerates. I think he gets revived in the Black Sky.
Then how did he stand up after he got hit? After he got jumped off the building?
I don't think
kicked off the building.
How big was that building he got kicked off of?
It was a story. It was like 4 stories.
Who kicked him off?
Daredevil. He used his brand new weapon and had him around the neck and flipped him over or kicked him or something.
That was the very end.
Right, the very end.
No, there's 2 times where he fell off a building. Got back up.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, there's a part where he's on a balcony.
Yeah.
Inside a building.
And he falls off and he gets up the same way he does at the very end.
Right.
But that's not far enough to die. But you think in the balcony is not far enough to die. That was maybe. A 2nd story balcony.
Probably.
Anyways, Daredevil has thrown in the very first season. He threw that guy off the top of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then he sits for a second. He's like, oh, he's not dead. Because I can hear his heartbeat. He's not dead. Mm-hmm. So Daredevil will know how far he can throw somebody before killing them. So I don't think when he threw him off the balcony, he's like, no, Boo's gonna die. But I also don't think that when he threw him off the top of the building, he's like, no, Boo's gonna die either, because that would cross the line of what they're saying.
Right.
However, what would have been awesome was if Daredevil would have been like, the only way for me to beat this guy is for me to kill him. I'm gonna throw him off this building. And if Punisher across the way saw that Daredevil was gonna do that and noticed that he was gonna kill him, if before Nobu hit the ground, Punisher shot him in the head with a sniper rifle and killed him.
That would be sick.
Because it would save Daredevil from killing somebody,
right?
Essentially, and it would show how awesome Punisher is with a sniper rifle,
right?
I honestly thought it was going to happen. I'm like, that'd be so sick if he threw him off, because that would have been an internal conflict that Punisher would have seen. Right. Punisher would have done it to save Daredevil from crossing that line. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen.
It didn't.
But he falls down, he gets back up, and then Stick's like, I ain't having none of that. Cuts the head off.
That would have been a pretty cool way to go about that.
Wouldn't that be cooler than having just Stick show up and be like, you're dead now? Because Stick didn't really have anything against Nobu, other than the fact that they're assassins and Templars.
Have nothing against each other. They're the leaders of the opposite clans.
No, I don't think Nobu's the leader. I don't think Stick's the leader either.
Yes, he is. And yes, he is. Stick tells the story about how his parents were killed. He's talking about this little boy who parents were just killed by the Black Hand or whatever their name is. And just the hand. And so then he rose up people to go fight against them, and he tells the story about the kid, and the kid is him. And then the Black Hand, or the hand is...
Well, Matt Murdock says, this kid is you.
Right.
I expect this kid is you. But the way I perceived it was the way that Stick was talking was this is way before Stick was alive. And then Matt Murdock is like, oh, well, this kid's supposed to represent you. And from what I got, Stick denied that. He's like, no, you're still stupid.
Well, I took that as that's what his story was. But either way, in the story, all we know is it's Stick who kept Elektra from them and raised up Daredevil because Elektra failed. And they're the only ones fighting. And it seems like this his whole life, since Daredevil was a kid at least.
What do you think Elektra failed?
Huh?
You think Elektra failed?
Well, he trained Daredevil, and he hid her because his original mission of training her failed, which was showed when she killed the other members of his group.
Oh yeah, that one guy.
Yeah. So, I would say that there is some justice involved, or poetic justice involved, that Stick kills Nobu because they're kind of the leaders of these opposite movements. But I think in terms of Daredevil's story, since it is Daredevil, I think the way you said the ending with Punisher, keeping him from that would be a pretty sick ending.
Sick. I think that Stick and Nobu could be equivalent, generals, but I definitely don't think Stick is in charge. And there's a reason for that. I don't think Nobu's in charge. There's a reason for that too.
Okay.
In season 1, at the very end of 6th episode, you see him talking to a big muscly guy with no shirt that has scars over his chest that he's reporting back to. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the leader. And then Nobu in season 1 talks about his leaders, the people in charge of him, like how he's there representing someone. Okay. Now, either that could be fake and he's actually there representing himself, but he's trying to pretend like he's not.
Yeah.
I think they could be equivalent as like generals, but I don't, in a sense, like quote unquote generals, but I don't think that they're both the leaders. And I perceive that story, that conversation between Matt and Stick differently than you did.
Yeah.
The way I thought was Stick was telling this story. Matt was so mad that he wasn't listening, and he said, "Oh, and that person's supposed to be you, and that's how you're supposed to convince all these like 12-year-old kids to fight for your fight." And Stick was like, "No, that's not true." Yeah. And I've never Stick. I'm sure he's lied in the past, but it seems like when he's confronted, he tells the truth. And it seemed like at that point, Matt was just mad and was trying to place things on Stick when they weren't true.
Maybe. I mean, I didn't remember that part that you said about them talking to other people from the first season. I must have missed that in my second watch through, but that could be. I mean, that seems plausible. It also could be like an overarching other group too, because Marvel does that sometimes when there's like an even badder group or an even worse group that's above the other group or all that. So who knows? That does sound pretty plausible though.
What do you think Black Sky is?
Yeah, that's a big question. I remember that's like the first thing I asked you when I saw you afterwards. I was like, "What is Black Sky?"
I have an idea.
And I searched on Marvel Wiki.
Yeah.
And they just had a reference to Daredevil season 1, the boy that Stick kills, and Nobu talks about it a few times. How like they're rare or something.
Yeah.
And Elektra's one. And that boy was one. And I wonder. My guess is that, and they reference it also as like an ultra weapon. And so my guess is that it is someone who's compatible with whatever regenerative powers that they bestow on people.
Yeah.
People who are able to take advantage of that, my guess are Black Skies. When they first mentioned Black Sky, I thought, oh, it'd be like some biological weapon.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Or like a nuke or something. But no, I think it's actually the regeneration thing, the immortality without it being truly immortal. Really.
I think,
as we talked about,
that's interesting because when they said Elektra was the Black Sky, everyone like stopped. It was like she was the leader
automatically
of everything, right?
They just are bound to her.
But Nobu could also be regenerated,
right?
And there's that little kid in season 1 that's part of the Black Sky,
right.
And I always thought, I started thinking, I think Black Sky is someone that's either compatible being regenerated, or someone that is can have their blood taken from them and put in with other chemicals like all the kids were. And either they're all capable, but only like the best fighters get to be regenerated, like Elektra, like Nobu. But Elektra must be a better fighter than Nobu
for him to bow to her.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because is Nobu part of the Black Sky? Because he can be regenerated, as we saw,
right? As
they talked about.
So if Black Sky is regeneration, then Nobu is part of the Black Sky. But it could be that we're interpreting it completely wrong.
Yeah,
because it could be
Elektra is defined as the Black Sky by them.
Yes.
So what's the difference between Elektra and Nobu?
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't.
Because they both
it's a mystery.
They both get regenerated. Maybe Nobu's regeneration is different from Elektra's, but they said that he's lived like 100 lives over or something like that, or a couple lives over.
Yeah.
So it is possible that maybe he is the leader of that group because if he's lived for so long.
Right.
But when you get regenerated, I assume you come back at the same age.
Right. And that it makes sense too with how he died in season 1, and then by being burned to death, and then
he had a scar.
Right.
He had that scar on his face. So obviously, your past lives affect you.
Yes. Obviously.
I don't know.
Maybe Black Sky is like more than Nobu. Like it's like you're on the same maybe it's like lineage, or like you are able to do regeneration, and maybe the Black Sky is like the ultimate form of it, or like the most sensitive to whatever they do, so she can harness the most power. So they've been looking for like the perfect version of something, and maybe she's that.
But that kid in season 1 is part of Black Sky, which
True.
I think either one, he's a fighter or he's a bleeder.
Yeah,
a bleeder.
Yeah, and I was still confused. I knew that they used the people for like chemical storage essentially, and like perfection or something, but why? What was the benefit of bleeding those people really? Like, did they use that blood in the tomb thing?
Yeah, it looked like it funneled into the tomb thing. Yeah. And then at the very end, they all like slit their wrist in a tub, and all that blood went in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, maybe it wasn't blood at that point. Maybe it was those other chemicals.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in season 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Elektra's death was telegraphed as soon as well, let's talk about the final episode, final fight.
Wow.
Because
there's a lot going on.
It's the hospital. Are they in the hospital?
They leave the hospital,
but they're going up to the roof. I thought it was of the hospital.
True. No. Yeah, you're right. I was getting confused because it's under construction, and so it's like a construction zone because it's like a renovated part of the hospital. Yeah, they're trying to make it up to the top of the roof, and then
right before there's ninjas coming up from behind them. There's ninjas on top of the roof,
and trying to bust through the doors. So they're having a conversation,
and they're sitting there and talking.
Like, where do you want to die?
Matt Murdock's like, "We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go somewhere else." And I'm like, "Oh, she's dying." Because Matt Murdock, as they talked about before, as they talk about how Kingpin's city is New York and he's never going to leave it, even for Vanessa, Matt Murdock, Daredevil, cannot leave New York.
Right.
For anybody. So
it's a city, Hell's Kitchen.
Why is she's obviously going to die because he's not going to leave.
Right, and that's what I thought it was weird too, because he essentially says, "I'm going to throw away everything for you to protect you," and I was like, but he's like Hell's Kitchen, that's him. Mm-hmm. You can't take him out of that. So I thought the same thing. I was like, she's gonna die, and it was she's gonna leave him.
My 4th hour of watching this straight, so I was kind of zoned out. Yeah, and I watched it. I'm like, this is dumb. But they go out, and it shows 50 ninjas this way, 50 ninjas that way. 50 ninjas that way. And they get up to the top.
What's going on?
They get up to the top, and there's 18 ninjas. Yeah, you're like, what? Where is everybody?
There definitely were more in the running. They do zoom out, and there's running ninjas everywhere. There's more than showed up at the rooftop. Mm-hmm. But I wonder how much of that is, I guess, could be explained away by the Punisher or the police or something.
See, but they're all shown on. So this is an inconsistency with the final episode because they're all shown on top of the roof running. Yeah, and you think, okay, maybe Punisher had a minigun and he shot everybody, which would be cool. Yeah. I wish I could have seen that. Maybe that's a deleted scene. Fine, whatever. Yeah, Daredevil would have heard him shooting them.
Right. True. He hears everything.
And Elektra would have known it, too.
I mean, it's a minigun.
Anyone would have known.
Unless it's a suppressed minigun, which I've never heard of before.
So, I just don't know what happened to all those ninjas. That's the biggest consistency issue I had with the whole show, was, the last 20 minutes. Yeah. But the final fight was good. It was okay. Elektra died, I'm like, good.
I was sad. I was a little bit sad.
Did you like Elektra?
There were things I liked about her character. But I would say I felt fairly neutral about her. I didn't have a huge attachment to her. Karen, right? Claire.
Claire's a nurse.
Yeah, Claire's a nurse. Karen. I mean, either of those, I feel more attached to them than I do Elektra. Right. And it's probably just because I kind of got the picture. She's going to be in halfway into the season. Yeah. And I mean, they do a lot of backstory with her, but I would be much more devastated if one of them died. Than her dying, because it just kind of fits for her to die. Yeah, it's not out of the realm of expectation.
What did you?
But of course, she's not really dead.
What did you think of Matt and Elektra's relationship? Because I felt like it was not founded in anything. Yeah, I felt like Matt had a better relationship with Karen.
Yeah, definitely.
Than Elektra, because they're like, "I'm gonna give up everything for you. I love you." I'm like, why? Well, I know she's lied to you forever. Yeah. She's trying to kill people. She's completely opposite of where you are. What do you find attractive in her?
I know when we talked about expectations for the season, one of the things you predicted was a love triangle thing with Elektra and Karen and him.
And Foggy. I predicted Foggy, but Foggy was cool with it. I'm like, that makes sense.
Foggy was cool with it. And I don't think there was that big of a triangle, because a lot of the relationship stuff that is shown in the show is flashbacks to their old relationship. And pretty much Matt, the entire show, is I'm not having it. Until that final scene where he's like, let's go away together. Right? That's the only real love that's in the current time
with
storyline with Elektra.
But there's that one episode where she's in his bed and Karen shows up. So weird, because Karen knocks on the door. Right. I guess Stick lets her in. Yeah. She's automatically in the bedroom 5 seconds later.
Right. Well, and I feel like if you're Karen though, there's some random dude you never met before, and there's a girl with bandages in the bed. I wouldn't be thinking that anything bad happened. Right. I'd be like, oh, it's Matt.
Another blind person. That's obviously not his dad. Right. She knows his dad is dead.
Right. So it's I was kind of it's pretty obvious though. He's not making the moves on her right now. Yeah. Now if she'd have walked in and he was in bed with her, obviously scandal. Or if he was touching her in some way, or sitting next to her, holding her hand, something like that, then I can understand her being oh yeah, wow, look, they're cheating on me. But
But she's already had so many problems with him lying and not showing up to the court case and stuff like that. So I think it's more like the last straw. But at the same time, it's like, this is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Maybe it was necessary to, like, break Matt Murdock away from Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
But
or at least make that plausible that he would do that.
Yeah, but...
Which I did like their Karen and him's relationship. The little bit that they showed of that, I wish they would have fleshed it out a little bit more.
See, I would... And I texted you this, I don't think we've talked about it. I would rather have Matt with Claire and Foggy with Karen. Mm-hmm. But as I texted you, I looked at Claire's history, and she... one is married. I think we talked about this last episode. Mm-hmm. She's married to Bill Foster, who dies in the Civil War, mm-hmm. who was Goliath, yeah. And then becomes in a relationship with Luke Cage, and she already has met Luke Cage,
right?
And Jessica Jones. So if they have a relationship,
and they're developing Luke Cage, so I'm sure that's gonna happen,
right? So, but Luke Cage and Jessica Jones sound like something,
right? But Jessica Jones is a mess. You can't have a relationship with her. She's got to figure her life out.
Right.
Did you not see all the alcohol she was drinking?
Hey.
It's like Tony Stark. You really can't date Tony Stark.
That's
Pepper Potts.
I don't know. Oh. But I don't really like Karen and Matt. I don't feel like it was forced, like I feel like with mm-hmm. Elektra, but I do feel like Foggy was better with...
Yeah, I mean, I hope that's what ends up happening. I hope, because you kind of, I mean, from season 1 and even through season 2, it's clear that Foggy likes Karen. Mm-hmm. He backs away because he's a good bro and he's like helping his best friend out.
You can say he's a good bro, but I also feel like he's used to taking the second seat to Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of his character and the development he's gone through. He's always been in Matt's shadow, which is also why he was like so hesitant to talk up in the court case, and he was like trying to wait for Matt to do the opening statement. It's because he's so used to living in a shadow. Yeah. So I'm glad that he's kind of doing his own thing now. But I would love Karen and Foggy to get together in the end.
What do you think about Matt telling Karen about his secret identity? That he's Daredevil. Happens at the end of the episode.
Oh, yeah. Man. I think that will make Karen understand.
It doesn't make Foggy understand.
Well,
Foggy is still mad at him all the time.
Dude, because Foggy's his best friend. He can do that. But Karen got mad at him because he was gone all the time.
Yeah.
And if Karen understands that, it's because he's Daredevil and he's like saving people like he saved me. So I think she'll have like the savior thing.
What happens in like when now Karen asks how Matt Murdock sees to fight crime, mm-hmm. and he's like, I see a world of fire, and she's like, how about that one night when you saved me and I took my shirt off in front of you? Like, do you see that? And he'd be like, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen that for like 2 years now.
Oh gosh. There it is.
Anyways, next on my list, as I said, I'm glad the love triangle didn't invite Foggy, because that would be annoying. You want to talk about Punisher for a second?
Dude, Punisher was awesome.
What'd you think?
I loved Punisher.
What did you think about his outfit by the end of the whole time, like, he needs a skull and shit.
I know.
And there was 3 references, 3 times where he got a skull.
Yeah.
There was the very end where he painted it on his body armor. Looked sick.
It did.
There was after the prison fight scene, he had a blood skull on his shirt.
Nice.
And then after he got beat up by the Irish, I don't know, this is more subtle, but his face looked like a skull. Both of his eyes were blackened out. So they look like eye sockets. They're all black. Yeah. And then like his face was beat up. He just looked like a skull. I'm sure they accentuated his cheekbones to make it more skull-like. Yeah. But I'm like, that's cool foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that prison fight scene?
Oh my gosh. I was hesitant because I was like, oh, Kingpin. He's setting them up, obviously.
Yeah.
I
didn't think that at all.
No, I thought it was. I mean, as soon as he left to do it, when they were first talking about it, I was like, oh yeah, maybe he's actually getting him to help him. But then I was like, no, this is too good to be true. That fight scene, holy cow.
He was already beat up.
He was already beat up, yeah. He was already hurt. And he goes in there, kills the guy, and I was like, and the thing with Punisher, like, I like Punisher, and I liked the kind of the setup, his build up in the story, like his explanation, I guess, or his exposition. I don't know what the right word is. His development as a character in the story, I enjoyed.
His history.
His backstory.
That's the word.
The fights, everything he did, fight scene wise, was awesome. Mm-hmm. Brutal, loved it. Like even when he's walking through the hospital, shooting shotguns and stuff, like everything about
because he's not hitting any civilians.
Right. he's just doing it, like, and people, like, once you realize what he's actually doing, like, at first I thought, oh, this guy's, like, a crazy person.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I didn't know Punisher was this violent. Like, I knew he, like, went after bad guys, but he's, like, attacking places. But then, as I kept watching, I was like, oh, no, he's only killing bad people.
Well, he punches that security guard. But he doesn't kill him.
He doesn't kill
him.
He,
like, knocks him out.
I loved, also, he has a lot of talking with Daredevil, especially when he's, like, chained up on the top.
Yeah. You know that was lifted directly from the comics?
Really?
There's a comic where Daredevil and Punisher are up there, and he tapes that gun to his hand.
Really?
And he's chained up to, like, a water tower or something.
Yeah, it was perfect. And I loved how it really did flesh out the differences between Daredevil and Punisher. In a good way. And it wasn't forced. It felt like a good conversation where you actually get to know Punisher. We already know Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed him.
You get to know Punisher as how he wants you to know him. Right. But later, I think the conversation with Karen is how you get to know him how he actually is.
Right, because Karen kind of idolizes him. Kind of like what you would do if you only hear Punisher's perspective. Right? Like the way he kind of views himself. Yeah. Right? It's more positive, I would say. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like Karen obviously idolizes him a bit and then gets her hopes crushed. And
I'm so happy once the skull came on his armor.
Dude, when he shot the guy in the shed.
Yeah, it was so weird, but I think it's character development too, where he goes in the shed. Yeah. There's all these different ways to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. He just goes with the quickest.
True.
He doesn't torture him.
Right, which that doesn't say, but that's not really the Punisher, really, right?
It's not, but the blacksmith is the guy he killed in the shed, which is a story arc that we'll talk about in a second because I don't really like it, but it's the guy that it almost directly killed his family. Yeah. Right, and instead of like torturing him and like making him pay, he just ended it. Other than he hit him with a truck. I
really felt like the conflict in there was Karen trying to get the Punisher not to kill him. Yes. And there's that moment where she's like standing outside and you see her and she's like waiting.
And she's even like, kill him and you don't get me anymore. I'm like,
right.
Shut up.
Right.
This is never about you two.
And that's that's her own fantasy. That's not realistic. But when you hear the gunshot, it's like, it's a huge statement about Punisher. Yeah. He doesn't care about anybody else. Mm-hmm. His family has died, and he's single-minded. Yeah. Because you could see that him and Karen could have a thing, right? Like she idolizes him, she fawns over him. He generally doesn't hate her. Like goes to the diner, uses her for bait, whatever. You could see like he could like try and turn around. Like could have been a moment that he could have. Right,
she's like the only person he's ever saved.
Yeah, so he could turn around because of Karen. Yeah, and so when he does the gunshot, I thought it was like, it was good. It was necessary. I thought it was a good plot point that he shot him because it just explains the Punisher, who the Punisher is, his single-mindedness about revenge.
Can you explain to me what the catalyst that made? Explain to listeners the catalyst that made Punisher to Punisher? The circumstances?
From what I understand, which I've seen the movie The Punisher.
Don't think about the movie. Okay. Just in the TV show.
Okay, in the TV show, if I remember right, his daughter and wife were in the park, Central Park.
Frank Jr.
And son. And they were like hanging out, and there was like a sting operation, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember it all. There's like a sting operation that was really his Colonel buddies doing.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
There is a lot to it.
On layer, which is why I don't know if there needs to be that many layers. Yeah. Essentially, to help you along, there's like 3 gangs that all do drugs in Hell's Kitchen. There's the dogs, the motorcycle gang, the dogs of something. There's the Irish, and there's another one that we don't even see in this season because I think he's killed them all. Yeah. And they all do drugs, and there's the blacksmith, which is essentially the Walter White of heroin. He makes the cleanest heroin you've ever seen. Yeah. Right? So there's undercover people on each gang that the DA has put there. The DA has said, okay, we're all going to meet here. It's going to be a sting operation to catch the blacksmith. I understand that there's people in Central Park. We don't have time to clear it out. It would make it look sketchy. Let's just go in. Yeah. And then the Punisher is there with his family on the carousel.
Oh, okay. I forgot that he was there with them.
Yes, they're all there. Yeah. And then the blacksmith doesn't show up. So all the gangs are like, where is he? Where'd you put him? Where'd you put him? Where'd you put him? They all shoot each other. Kill hundreds of people. Frank family included. It almost looked like Frank's was kill execution style, but that's not really clear because he got shot in the head. Remember?
Right. That's what they say.
Yeah, and that skull came up in like every episode.
Yeah.
Of his X-ray, which was another Punisher thing. So now he has to get revenge on all the gangs. He has to get revenge on the blacksmith. He has to get revenge on the DA for doing all this, for putting his family at risk and for killing his family.
Yeah.
Which eventually happens. The DA eventually dies, but it's not the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I mean, the DA does die.
The DA does die.
And I think you're trying to frame the Punisher.
I think so, because that was the blacksmith that killed him. I don't think the blacksmith was necessary to this story.
You don't?
No. I think the sting would have been enough to encourage him to be the Punisher.
Yeah.
The blacksmith, which we later found out was his military colonel or whatever.
Right. That
he had saved previously in Iraq.
Right. Some thing gone wrong.
Yeah, but I think that it would have been fine without. I think it would have been fine without the blacksmith. Like, the blacksmith could have been the catalyst for why all the gangs were there, and that could have been fleshed out later in a different season.
Right.
It was like 2 episodes of, I just heard about this blacksmith. Oh, the blacksmith is dead.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I could see that.
Maybe it was necessary for Karen and Punisher, for Karen to be like, okay, maybe I'll just be with Matt instead of Frank Castle.
I mean, there's some things that it forces the story, forces some choices, but and it brings him to the lair of the blacksmith who has all those freaking weapons and where he essentially gets his home base.
Yeah, maybe, because he burns down his house.
Right, so it's that shed in the middle of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I assume probably the colonel's house too, but who knows? Maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, it's probably close. It's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Kingpin doing some kingpinning for once.
Yeah, like take over the prison.
He was in charge of that prison.
Oh yeah,
and he didn't use violence either. He used money.
Yeah,
right. He bought everyone like their family like insurance and everything.
Yep.
And everyone is super loyal. To him, even after that.
Oh yeah.
It's normally only violence brings loyalty like that. But I
guess it was pretty good. He did some good kingpin, which we didn't really get to see that much of in the first season. Everything was already set up at that point. So
yeah, Kingpin was super emotional. Season 1, season 2, so far is much better. Daredevil for a second loses his hearing. Remember that?
Yeah, he goes blind, literally. In the deaf, I suppose, but
yes. More specifically, deaf.
I know, but he's blind when he can. Because he sees with his ears.
Right. He loses his hearing.
He loses his hearing
for only one part of the season.
No, I think it happens twice.
Does it?
Yeah, there's one part in the apartment, and then there's another time where he gets like, he's like in a fight or something, and it's like momentary, but he's like, "What's going on? I can't hear anything."
No, that's when he's fighting the ninjas with the hand. That's because they like.
No, it's like there's a part where he gets like hit, or there's like an explosion or something. I'm trying to. I feel like it happened twice. One in his apartment, and then there was like another time that was much shorter. I think it was before the apartment.
I remember 2 times where we had trouble fighting the ninjas. That was when...
I mean, they couldn't hear him because they're ninjas.
Yeah, that was when Elektra's like, listen to their weapons.
I know.
Do you think there's another one?
I feel like there's something separate of that. I remember that part. I'm not talking about that
I don't remember.
I don't know. Either way, there's that one part in the apartment where you can't hear.
I wasn't too impressed with season 2 at the very beginning. Like, the first 4 episodes, it just seemed like season 1, part 2. Right? It just seemed like this is season 1. That was when the Punisher was doing stuff. Mm-hmm. But it did pick up, and it got deeper, and it got more fleshed out at the end of season 2. At the end of season 2, though, it's almost just like, okay, now just finish the story in season 3. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a lot of finalized stories in season 2.
You're talking about, like, resolutions?
Yeah. Because Punisher is still out there.
Right.
Elektra's dead, but coming back. The only people that really died aren't... And Kingpin's still there. Like, he's more of a threat now than he was at the end of season 1.
Right.
He's set up. Punisher's set up. Elektra's set up. The Hand is set up.
Yeah. I mean, really the only thing... I guess Nobu died. That's like it.
Nobu died, but now Nelson and Murdoch is over, so you wanted to know, like, what's happening to Foggy? Like,
no, that's a good point.
It almost raised more questions than an answer.
Yeah, I mean, it develops some new characters to the MCU. And besides that, I mean, really, all it is some internal... I mean, Matt is going through, like, internal stuff this entire season, right? He's, like, struggling with his lawyership and balancing his life between Matt Murdock and the Daredevil. And at the end, he's like, I want to be Daredevil. I mean, that's essentially what happens. So, I mean, that's, like, really the only resolution.
Do you think he only wants to be Daredevil because Elektra was there?
No, I honestly think that it's more than that. I think that's part of it. I think that she like brought him to that point. Yeah. But I think that just because she's gone doesn't. I think he's gonna stay Daredevil.
Well, he's gonna stay Daredevil, but do you think that's gonna be like the 100% that he wants? Because at the end, he's like, I want to 100% be Daredevil. I don't care about Foggy. I don't care about Karen.
I mean, I think it's gonna be like 80-20. Like,
but then at the very end, he gave Karen the mask. He's like, look, I'm Daredevil. Like,
true. He could become. I forgot about that. He could become around.
I don't know. My favorite scene in season one of my favorite scenes in season 1 was that hallway fight scene. Oh. It was a long extended cut, all one cut, all choreographed perfectly. It was like 2-minute long fight scene, all one cut. Yep. And this one, there's 2-ish hallway scenes. Mm-hmm. There was the Punisher scene in the prison, which was fantastic,
which was brutal,
was the best. Yeah. There was the other one where he's fighting down the apartment building. Mm-hmm. And at first, I'm like, this is really cool. There was a lot of long cuts. And it was a good fight scene, but I was immediately distracted by the fact that there were cuts in it. It wasn't all just one take. Yeah. And that really took me away from the fight scene. I feel like that fight scene would have been really cool if it all would have been. It would have been really cool regardless, but because I thought it was going to be all one cut and they made cuts, I'm like, well, this is cheap. So I stopped paying attention to the fight and I paid more attention to when the film was cutting.
Right. I mean, I felt like there was hype about it because that's like one of the cool things that Daredevil did. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's known for that. Right. In some ways. I mean, only really hardcore fans really care about that. Yeah. Honestly, most people who probably listen are like, whatever. But, I mean, it was cool. Like, I was looking forward to it. We talked about that. Yeah. That there was going to be a cool hallway scene.
Yeah. And there's 2 cool hallway scenes. Yeah. But the thing that made the first hallway scene cool was the fact that it was all one cut. Yeah. Not the fact that he was fighting close quarters with people. True. So I was a little disappointed in that, but I think they got me back on board with the Punisher, and the Punisher in the prison was not all one cut, I don't believe. I didn't. Yeah. That was one where I wasn't paying attention. That's how the first one should have been. I didn't notice if there was cuts or not because it was so good. And I assume the first apartment building cut or scene was probably really good, but he had just been tied up. He had just been fighting Punisher for so long. I'm like, there's no way he has energy to fight all these people. That also took away from it. Yeah. But I have written down, I'm excited for the return of Kingpin. However, at this point, I think Daredevil could take him down by himself.
Return of the Kingpin.
Right?
Hey, it all comes back around.
So it would be interesting to see the Kingpin working with a group of villains that the Defenders have to take down.
That would be interesting.
Because I don't think Kingpin is a big enough threat by himself.
Right.
Right? Because Daredevil can win a fight.
Right. I really feel like Kingpin...
Although Kingpin is bench pressing like 350 pounds.
I mean, he's a strong guy, but his mastermind ability is... I mean, it's not fighting prowess. I mean, he may be really strong, and he can, like, rip you to shreds.
I think he's a good fighter, but you don't think that's his best quality?
No, his best quality is, like, his mastermind ability. Like, that he's known as the Kingpin. Like, he controls things. Like, that's what he's good at, manipulation. Keeping things the way he wants it. So, I could see him... I really felt like in season 1 it was okay that he was the main villain because it's a development season. It's like learning Daredevil and like him learning. But I think at this point, if he's going to come back as a main villain, he's got to be something else. It's got to be a different situation. He's got to have some help, something there. I mean, maybe bringing in a new character that he fights with or like uses or manipulates.
Stiltman. Melvin was making a Stiltman costume in his workshop.
Was he?
Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about Stiltman.
I don't either.
But that's all my notes on season 2. I really enjoyed it. I would have preferred not to have binge watched it all. Yeah. I don't know if it's best to watch. When I watched season 1, it was when I would come home from work. It was when I worked at the restaurant, so I'd come home from work at like 11. Yeah. Cook dinner, watch an episode or 2 until like 2 in the morning, go to bed. This one I watched like 4 episodes at a time. And I don't know if that's the best. Yeah. But we've talked about it before. Binge watching versus one a week or something like that. Right. Or one a day. But I enjoyed it.
It was good. It was a good time. Good job, Netflix. Good job, Disney. Good job.
I'm excited.
Fucking Nelson.
I don't know if I'm that excited for Luke Cage.
I would say that after watching the 30-second trailer, I'm more excited for Luke Cage than I am for Iron Fist.
Really? You haven't seen anything about Iron Fist.
Exactly.
I'm more excited about Iron Fist.
All I know is it's a Game of Thrones guy, which makes it favorable to me, because it was a guy from Game of Thrones. Yeah. But it's not. The Luke Cage intro just made it sound so upbeat, like I'm so excited. Yeah. It's like a change of pace because Jessica Jones is like really dark.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil's like hopeful but dark.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Cage just seemed like a lot more upbeat. Interesting. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
If you want to get in contact with us, you want to share your opinion, you want to tell us that our opinion sucks, you can tweet at us at UPGamersPodcast. You can email us or send us electronic mail at underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail.com.
If you'd like to hear more from us during the week, we have a website
with blogs.
Underpaidgamers.wordpress.com. On there, I've written many a blog posts and continue. I have 3 in the works right now, actually. 4, actually. 4 in the works.
I have one in the works about Civil War.
Tony has one in the works. We've got a fast team of writers out there working hard. One other person who's working on some articles there. So if you'd like to catch up with us on there, listen to it, read some of our thoughts, leave some comments for us, we would definitely appreciate it.
We are on SoundCloud, which might be how you're listening to us right now. We're also on iTunes. If you could rate and review us on iTunes, it's really important. Rating and reviews help us rise in the ranks of iTunes, which gets more listeners, a bigger community. We're always a free download, so thanks for listening. We are going to go watch Batman v Superman.
Yep.
Hopefully not be bored to death.
That's what I hope. I'm going to buy some popcorn. So
I have low expectations. At first, I'm like, okay, I have medium expectations, and then the trailer came out, I'm like, my expectations are a little bit lower because they spoil everything. Now everyone's saying it's awful, so I'm like, I'm at like 20% expectations. So, we'll see what happens. What do you think? Are you excited? I have not seen Man of Steel, for the record.
Can I say this way? I am more excited to just go to a movie theater and experience a movie theater than I am to go see this movie specifically.
Okay.
Like, I was almost ready to go to, like, Zoolander 2 or, like, something else.
You go to the movies, like, once every week.
Not, dude.
You try to.
I used to. It's been a while.
You try to.
I was before. I've only, this year...
No wonder you're underpaid.
No, it's the video games, man. No, I've only been to, like, 2 movies this year. I feel like 2 or 3 in theaters. Because I went and saw...
This year, but you saw...
Deadpool.
You saw Star Wars, like, 4 times.
Right, but I'm counting that as once. Okay, you got me. I've seen Star Wars 4 times.
There you go.
But 3 of those times was in December, so... One time, only Star Wars once this year.
Well.
And it comes out April 1st. Oh my gosh! Next week, Star Wars on Blu-ray. Buying it at Target, which we talked about.
For the DLC.
Getting that extra bonus content. Ooh, I burped.
that
means it's time to go. Well, see you guys next time.
That's right. Bye-bye.
That was gross.